Caught me off guard. I was watching it and I forgot to put my mic on.
It had you enthralled.
It had me enthralled, that's right. That's right. Got me distracted. Well, will you pray with and for me, please? Loving God of all times and places, may all we speak and hear be a reflection of your intention and your grace for us. May I be a window for the light of your love to shine through. In all your many names, amen. So here we are at the second Sunday in Advent, the Sunday representing peace, as we just heard. Last week we reflected on hope. Today we think about peace. Next week is joy, and then it's love's turn right before Christmas. Peace. Well, we think of peace as a good thing, and indeed it is, but I'm not sure we in the U.S., or most of us anyway, really understand just how good a thing it really is. Not many of us in this church have lived in places at war or in cities or neighborhoods where our lives were in danger, or where we faced the real possibility of being shot, either deliberately or randomly. The closest that I've come was living in a U.S. military housing area in Germany during the early days of Desert Storm, Desert Shield, back in 1990, 1991, when there were concerns about retaliation against the U.S. military. And security was tightened. Originally, that was a very open housing area. There were no gates, there were no guards, there were no walls. Anybody could, drive through either by car or by bicycle. People, anybody. German nationals, and of course anybody with an ID card could just drive right through. There was an S-Bahn station nearby and so on. But that changed. And U.S. identification was required. There were guards, military police guards, and then the German military police set up guard stations. There were 24-hour military patrols, and they actually set up a rotating 4-hour schedule for us, for the residents, to keep a watch out of our windows. At the parking lots and other areas around our apartments for quote-unquote suspicious activity, whatever that meant. But our homes were not destroyed. We had food, water, medical care. We were not injured. Our routines of work and school were not disrupted. We weren't sent back to the U.S. And we had the U.S. to be evacuated to, right? We had a safe place to go. Unlike the Germans, if it came to that. We weren't really in a war zone. When the Bible speaks of peace, this is what is meant. The ability to simply live free from the fear of attacks by an enemy, secure in the knowledge that you will reap the crop that you sow, that you can plant seeds and watch them grow and come to be a crop and to reap them, to reap that crop, the corn or the oats or whatever it is, the barley. That your children will grow up. That your home will not be burned over your head or bombed. That you and your spouse will grow old together. Yes, it would be nice to have some wealth, but the biblical biblical writers will settle for simply living. Everyone wants peace. Every nation in the world. I don't think you'll find any modern nation saying that they want war. That they love fighting, that they live for a battle. Klingons notwithstanding. So why does it seem so difficult to come by peace? Fear. Fear. Everyone wants peace, but everyone is also afraid. They fear losing power, losing wealth. They fear death or ridicule or 100 other things. It all comes down, though, to fear. They fear something. And so, in fear, people and governments act with violence, react with violence to perceived threats to their well-being. Feuds, lawsuits, and wars. And those they attack respond to defend themselves with more violence. And the cycle continues. And there is no peace. I don't know exactly how to break that cycle. Gandhi tried nonviolent protest and was assassinated. Martin Luther King Jr. also tried nonviolent protest and was assassinated. The same thing happened at Kent State to protesters and to freedom marchers in the South and to civil rights workers and to Harvey Milk. Fear. Fear of change. Fear of losing power. Fear of losing control. Now, the Bible does say that perfect love casts out fear, but that means within a person. If I love, I am not afraid. It doesn't mean that if I love someone, they are not afraid of me. I can't change how they feel, right? I can find it in my heart to love others, even if they are afraid of me or express that fear through hate. But that doesn't necessarily change how they feel about me. They fear me for some reason. They see me as threatening. And while I can try to show them my caring and love, they may or may not come to understand me and cease to fear me. People who think women shouldn't be clergy, or people who are biphobic, or people who mistrust people who have been divorced, or Cubs fans, or I don't know, whatever. Pick a characteristic of mine. People who fear that about me, who feel that is a reason to not trust me, well, I can express my love for them, and they may or may not come to trust me. If they do, it will be for other reasons, like my uncle, who had a difficult time accepting my coming out. He had always been the closest uncle to me. He had supported me and been there for me through my parents' divorce. But when I came out, he had a very, very difficult time with it. He was a very conservative, religious guy. It was hard for him. But he finally realized that I had not changed into some other person, but was still just me. He had simply learned something new about me. And that's on a personal level, of course. It's more complicated for countries and more critical. Our video, there's one we've seen recently, the one we usually play after the reflection. It's Reba McEntire's "Pray for Peace," and yet it's so perfect for today. I just had to use it. But we have to do more than pray for peace, right? Praying for peace is good because it helps us focus on that, praying for peace. We have to work for it, right? Work to ease those fears. Get to know other people, other cultures, other nations, so we don't fear them and they don't fear us. It's a two-way street, but we have to start somewhere. There's a story shared by Naomi Shahid Nye, a Palestinian poet that's made the rounds on the internet recently. It was originally published, I think, in Reader's Digest, but I love it. So if I get a little teary towards the end, you'll understand why. She says, I was wandering around the Albuquerque airport. My flight had been delayed, and I heard an announcement. If anyone near gate A4 understands Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Gate A4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman was crumpled on the floor, wailing. In her traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, she reminded me of my grandmother. Talk to her, urged the flight agent. We told her the flight was going to be late, and she did this. I stooped to put my arm around the woman and spoke haltingly. Shudawa, Shubuchik, Habibi, Habibti, Stanishue, Minfadik, Shubitsiwa. She stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled. She needed to be in El Paso for a medical treatment the next day. I said, you'll get there, just late. Who's picking you up? Let's call him. We called her son. In English, I told him that I would stay with his mother until we got on the plane. She talked with him. Then we called her other sons, just for fun. Then we called my dad, and they spoke for a while in Arabic and found out that they had 10 shared friends. After that, I called some Palestinian poets I knew and let them chat with her. She was laughing a lot by then, patting my knee, answering questions. She pulled a sack of homemade mamoul cookies, little crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts and topped with sugar, from her bag and offered them to the women at the gate. To my amazement, no one declined. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo, we were all smiling, covered with the same sugar. I looked around the gate and thought, this is the world I want to live in. One with no apprehension. This can still happen anywhere, I thought. Not everything is lost. So my friends, pray for shared cookies, for fear dissolved in understanding, for peace. In all God's name, amen.
Amen.